Oh my gosh, another video after about a month. But I don't make videos for the sake of content. I make videos for the sake of context. There's a difference. So, today's topic, my experience with trauma and how I overcame it. I was just thinking about this randomly. Uh, just thinking about how some people are just molested, raped when they're a kid. It's like they got a lot of trauma to overcome it, but there has to be a way to overcome it, because if trauma is something that cannot be overcome, well, then everyone's just fucked. Because at some point you're going to get traumatized somehow, you know. So I would hope, even in the most extremes, all trauma can be overcome. If it's PTSD from war or PTSD from sexual abuse or something, like, I would genuinely hope there's a way to overcome it all. And I believe there is. But from my own personal experience, what trauma did I have? Well, it was choking. I forget how old I was. I was in my early 20s. I'm almost 28 now, so it wasn't that long ago, but still. Um, Even to this day, I still have remnants of that trauma. But it's very minuscule. It's like 2% at most. Um, but when it happened, I was eating some leftover fettuccine alfredo with chicken and broccoli in it, which is one of my favorite dishes. Which this shit almost ruined that dish for me. I was like, fuck that. I don't want to ever eat that again. But it was leftovers from the night prior. I was home alone on the computer, and as I was eating too quick, is what it was. Oh shit. I was eating too quick, and I wasn't chewing enough. Wasn't taking my time. That's because the schools, they teach you, oh, you gotta eat fast so you can get done in lunchtime. Dude, lunch should be an hour. That way you can enjoy your food. I think someone said it's the French. They have hour-long lunch breaks, and that's the standard. Hell yeah. Um, but you need to chew slow, chew plenty, enjoy your food, and it's also easier on your stomach to digest. If you have heartburn, that's one of the issues. That's why I used to have heartburn a lot, because I wasn't chewing enough. I was eating too fast, and then also too just processed foods and all the garbage we eat in this society. But I was eating too fast, and I just I got the hiccups, right, and that's usually because the throat's trying to work some food down, I guess. So I thought, oh, let me take a drink of water. Took a drink of water. I swallowed. That made it worse, because now I couldn't fucking breathe. Right? I was fine before, but as soon as that water went down there, it blocked everything. I couldn't fucking I couldn't cough. I couldn't do anything. It was just pure stuck, and I started freaking the fuck out. I'm like, "Oh shit." And again, I was home alone. No one's there to give me the Heimlich or anything. And for a solid 15 seconds at least, I thought I was going to die. I legit, that was the first time I ever felt the fear of death. And and it's not something you're ready for. It just happens, and you're like, what do I do? Uh, but thankfully, I'm sitting there over like the kitchen. So I get up from my seat, go to the bathroom. I'm trying to like vomit, whatever. It happens really quick. Like I said, 15 seconds. uh, I sit over the sink, try to vomit. Nothing's happening. So then I really start freaking out, and I start stumbling over to the front door, thinking, okay, I'm gonna beat on my neighbor's door to help me, right? Even though they're an older couple, and it might have been too much to ask them to Heimlich me. Maybe not. I don't know. But thankfully, I vomited somehow when I got to the front door. As soon as I opened the front door, I was like, oh, and then did it all over the porch. But that, again, it scared the shit out of me. It gave me trauma. It's basically PTSD. And it sounds dumb to call it PTSD because when you say PTSD, you think of Vietnam vet, some kind of war vet who, he freaks out, he's getting ready to shoot somebody. But I guess PTSD comes in all forms. Uh, and in this form, for a solid 3 months, I couldn't hardly eat. I had to find different foods that my body wouldn't freak out when I'm eating. So softer foods, liquids. Uh, I couldn't eat broccoli specifically. I couldn't eat apples for some reason. I don't know. Just the texture, I guess. Uh, but the one thing that did help me was the double XL grilled stuffed burrito from Taco Bell. They don't make it anymore, and I'm pissed, even though I don't eat fast food anymore because it's garbage, but I'm still pissed that they would remove that from their menu because it did help me. For some reason, I would eat that thing. I guess it was the amount of guacamole and whatnot that was in it that made it easy to chew on and, swallow. And, high calorie, whatnot. But that really helped. But in regards to the PTSD, it wasn't even just trying to eat. Like I was watching My Hero Academia when it was still new, and there's that one scene of Deku's like trying to swim. I don't remember if it was first season, second season. I just remember they're in the training facility, and he's trying to swim, but he's like, bah, ah, you're like making that coughing, almost choking sound, and it triggered me. I'm like thinking about what happened to me, like, oh, choking, and I started getting a fucking panic attack. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And then on another occasion, I had a panic attack for no fucking reason, just going to work, and I worked night shift at this point. I'm going to work at 10 p.m. or something, driving on the highway, and I just sudden panic attack. I'm like, this is not the time to be having a fucking panic attack. I thought about pulling over, but I guess eventually it went away. I don't know, if you don't know what a panic attack is, or what it feels like, it's just like having a sudden shot of adrenaline. Like you could just be sitting there and then suddenly just the fear of death is on you. It's strange. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's like the mind processing certain stimuli, like it's trying to help you cope. I would hope that the brain has the ability to, work through things like that. But and then I had another panic attack while I was at work at some point. I don't remember why, but I used to drive the forklift, and I'm like, man, I'm having a panic attack. I need to get off this forklift. And I remember walking over to the one guy. It was a mechanic for the machines because it was like a warehouse floor where there's machines that run mail and printers and all this stuff. And they had two guys there that specifically worked on the machines. Uh, Again, mechanics. The people who actually use the machines were not mechanics. They just sorted the paper and pushed the pallets around. But these guys actually fixed them when they broke down. And they also worked for a different company. Anyway, I remember going over to him and be like, hey, I'm having a panic attack right now. Can you show me what you're doing to get my mind off of this panic attack? Just show me how you do your job. Like, just get me out of this headspace right now. He's like, oh, okay. And just for a few minutes, he just tells me, this is what I do. I do this, do that. I'm like, oh, okay, so how do you do this? Just asking questions. And that also works for pain. What I've come to realize, if I don't know, if I fucking hit my hand with a hammer, I've done that a few times, or I would bust my hand on something and it's just like, ah! It's like, I don't want to focus on the pain. I want... So I'm a bit of an introvert, and I'm antisocial. I don't like talking to people, but when I'm in pain, I need to talk to someone. Not to say, oh, look at my boo-boo. It's like, tell me something to get my fucking mind off of this. For some reason, talking to people gets my mind somewhere else. And that's probably why I don't like talking too much, because it's a different spectrum of thinking, I guess. But but that's basically the gist of it. It's just panic attacks for no fucking reason. Sometimes it was relevant, sometimes it wasn't. But that was my experience with trauma and PTSD. And like I said before, 3 months I had this go on randomly. Um, Actually, I remember it was during the day, and I was in the living room with my mother, and I remember like opening the front door and just kind of leaning my head up against the door frame, thinking like, "Mom, there's something fucking wrong with me. Like I can't, like I just randomly get this shit." And she was saying, "Oh, maybe you should go see a doctor or something." You know. So I guess that was like another panic attack when I did that. Uh, but how did I overcome it? Well, like I told you about, talking to people, just getting my mind out of that headspace. That was a little, life hack, if you want to call it that. But in regards to food, like I said with the burrito, rather than just saying, "Oh no, I can't eat anything, I'm gonna die," I'm like, "No, I have to eat, or I will die. If I eat something and I choke, I might die, but if I don't eat, I know I will die because I'll fucking starve to death." So I had to make the logical decision to just risk it, You don't really think about it, every day you eat something, you don't think like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna choke." Like it's not in your mind. But when that shit happened to me, every fucking time I put something in my mouth, I'm like, I might die, I might die. But trauma, at least in my experience, it's something you have to face. You can't cower from it. Uh, you can't just say, "Oh, maybe it'll go away on its own." No, it won't. You have to face it. When people say get over it, it sounds bad, but I've come to realize that it's literally what it is you're getting over it. You're overcoming it. It's not like, "Oh, get over it." Like some people do say that in a shitty way because they are being shitty, but the term itself I think is accurate. It's like an athlete, running and he does the hurdles or whatever, he's getting over it, you know? So maybe that's where that saying comes from. Um, but I faced it. Uh, Praying, I would say, helped. Uh, well, speaking in a spiritual sense, if you follow what the Bible says, it says that you begin it. I'm sorry, we have been given a spirit of power, not a spirit of fear. And I'm at a point in my life where fear, I don't want to be like arrogant or say some shit that might not be wrong, but it feels like fear, like if someone tries to scare me or something tries to scare me, it doesn't scare me anymore. It just pisses me off. Probably, probably because of my experience with fear and trauma and anxiety and all that shit. It's because like, no, I don't want to go back to that shit. Or if someone's trying to intimidate me or some shit, it's like, really? You know, you would try to use fear on me, and it just makes me mad. The ginger comes out. Um, um, but you do have to overcome it. You have to face it. You have to fight. You know, and all this came back to my mind because I was talking to my Chinese friend, and she had a boyfriend a while back that he was, touched at the very least when he was a child, and he had trauma. And you could tell, I've noticed people with trauma, or maybe it's specific to people who were sexually abused, but they have like a way of talking, or like a way of, you can just kind of feel it, like there's something wrong. Like they're not a bad person. It's not like they're creepy or something, but it's like it's like a very frightened state that they're in constantly. And I couldn't live like that, you know. I have no experience with sexual abuse, so I can't judge on that. But like I said at the beginning of the video, like I would hope there's a way to overcome all trauma. And maybe with this little frame that I've given you that I dealt with it, maybe there's someone out there who has dealt with more extreme forms of trauma and they'll be able to use, like I said, the frame that I've given them to overcome it. You know? Maybe, maybe not. But I was thinking about it and it came to my mind and I started doing that thing where I started monologuing. You know, I talk to myself. I sound fucking crazy. That's why I was trying to do the the playthrough videos for Minecraft and other shit, but this is as an aside. This has nothing to do with this video, but I'm not doing, fuck's sake, I'm not gonna do playthroughs of video games ever again. In fact, I deleted the ones that I did. Not the streams, but the ones I actually upload as a video. It takes too much time. I record for an hour and I gotta spend like 3 or 4 hours editing this fucking video. Fuck that. I got other shit to do. So I have a newfound respect for people who do video editing. Uh, but anyway, I think I've covered most of what I wanted to talk about. You know, how I got anxiety or PTSD, trauma, whatever, how I overcame it. You know, if you're not suffering from trauma or anything, at the very least you can take this with you, which is slow down when you eat. Give your body time. Shit takes time. It's slow. Like today I had some mixed nuts, a Nutri-Grain bar, and some orange juice. And I was bending over the side of a dock to unscrew something, and I burped, and that some of that shit came up in my throat, and I was like, you know, like don't do physical activity, or don't crunch over and squeeze your stomach because you're physically causing your stomach to squeeze together and basically squirt out its fucking stomach acid and shit. You know, take care of yourself. I know we live in a 9 to 5 super fast. Gotta go now. Oh, I got a 20-minute break. No, fuck that shit. It's unnatural. It's stupid. Take your time. Slow down, like that Ozzy Osbourne song. Slow down. You know, chew your food. Listen to your stomach. Go with your gut, literally and figuratively. That's really all there is to it. Thank God that I overcame that. It is what it is. And I guess as an update for anyone who keeps up with me or any of my videos, I know one of the first like talk videos I uploaded was the one. In fact, I got it pulled up on here. Just quit my job now. What? That was like 4 months ago. Well, in case anyone's wondering, I do have a job now, and it's better than the one I had before. Because before, the other one was still that 9 to 5 shit. You know, you gotta get 40 hours a week. It's a sin if you get 38 or 37. You know, for some reason it has to be 40. They don't want to give you overtime, but they also don't want you to be in the 30s. It's like, it's man-made ego trying to force everything into his little fucking box. Stop it. With this job, I'm basically an electrician's apprentice. It's nothing formal. It's not union. It's just a guy who said, you know, on the job site for the area that I'm in, he said he needs help. And as long as you're willing to learn, there it is. You know, he's been an electrician for 20-something years. And he's cool. He's patient. He's kind, nice, whatever. You know, he doesn't have a stick up his butt. You know, he wants to get work done, but he also knows when to slow down and take a break. He don't work weekends. He lets me work on Sunday if I want. You know, so I'm learning electrician's work, but it's also kind of a mix of like contracting. You know, we poured a little bit of concrete for a post. You know, you're tearing holes in the wall. There's an extension we had to do on a restaurant. crawling up in the attic and feeding wires and shit. Um, but yeah, I have a job, and it's not a 9 to 5 job. Hell, last week I only got 24 hours, but the week before that I got over 40 hours. You know, so it's not about the weekly hours. It's like, what am I going to get paid at the end of the month, kind of thing. You know, I'm also getting paid more an hour, but you know, uh, if I get less hours a week, uh, obviously it'll be less overall. But despite the negatives, learning new things, relaxed environment, I've only got to deal with one guy who is my boss, and he's cool. You know, I'd say the benefits outweigh the what is the opposite of a benefit? A deficit? I don't know. But I'm doing good. So if anybody was worried, I'm fine. All's good. So until next time, if I can think of something else to talk about, I will. But we'll see. So see ya.